Hello and welcome to my video tutorial for the Marley bookmark. As you can see here, your hook size will determine how big your bookmark is. This little one was made with a 2mm crochet hook, and this one here on the end was up to a 3.5mm crochet hook. So depending on how big you want your bookmark, you go ahead and choose your own hook. And this is a medium weight yarn here, and this yarn here is like a what do you call it, embroidery floss, and this is like a finger weight yarn, I believe. So it really is up to you how big you want to make your bookmark. All right, for this tutorial you will need scissors, a tapestry needle, optional safety eyes. If you are familiar with the French knot or know how to embroider, you can also do that, but I'm going to be using safety eyes and they're pretty small. I don't actually know how many millimeters, but you can go bigger or smaller. It's kind of up to you, depending on what the aesthetic is that you want to work with. I've got a couple of stitch markers here. I picked this orange yarn. It's shiny. Hopefully it'll be good and visible for the tutorial. I am using a 3mm hook. All right. Front legs / body, chain 8, single crochet in the second chain from the hook, and then single crochet across. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Single crocheting in the second chain from the hook. So there's your first chain, second chain, and then single crocheting across. So that will give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches. I'm going to go ahead and take off my bracelet because that is going to drive me nuts. Okay, so that is 7 single crochets, leg 1. So we are going to begin the first little leg coming up this way. We're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Single crochet in the second chain from the hook and back down the leg. So that'll give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochets total. Now what we are going to do is we're going to flip this side up so that we can continue working along the bottom of the body. Again, I wrote this pattern so that we don't have to sew. I hate having to sew a bunch of pieces together. That'll quickly discourage me from making more than one of anything, is if I have to sew a bunch of pieces. So once again, if you are on this step now, you'll flip this up, and now we are going to skip this very first stitch right here, and we are going to single crochet in the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we should have 2 stitches left. So let's go ahead and single crochet in the next stitch, and you can mark this stitch if you want to. I'm not going to, but just make note of this stitch because we will be single crocheting in the side of it when we come back down. Okay, now we're going to chain 6 to make this other leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Single crochet in the second chain from the hook and back down the leg. 1, 2. Shh, hey, my cat is trying to eat my yarn. No, nobody wants your wet, slobbery cat juice on their project. Okay, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's 5, and then we're going to go ahead and make a single crochet in the side of that stitch I mentioned before, and we're going to make a single crochet in this little gap right here between these 2 rows. And then we're going to make a single crochet in this top weird little bump corner up here. exactly where, I feel like almost changes a little bit every time for me, but I'm gonna say right here. Just like that. All right, so now we're gonna chain 1 and make 1 more single crochet in that same place you just made it, so that we can kind of start to turn our work, because we were this way, now we want to come back this way. So chain 1, which I already did, single crochet again in that little hole. This is where I do like using a hook that's a little bit too small for the yarn, because it eliminates any gaps, but it can also create some issues with splitting your yarn. So you got to be really careful with that. Okay, now we are going to work across. This was our original foundation chain. We're working across the back now. So I'm just going to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, a helicopter. 6 more stitches. All right, so we have his little front paws and his little chest complete. And including, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chains, including that the chain 1 that you made to make your corner. All right, continuing. For the body, row 1, chain 1 and turn your work, and in the back loops only single crochet 8 across. So chain 1, and we're just gonna single crochet in the back loop only. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My cat is very much 7. He's sitting here looking at me, ready to try to mess with me again. Don't do it, Marley. 8. Let's see if I can get him real quick. I see you right in there trying to get my yarn. Not happening, buddy. All right. So that is 8 single crochets. Place a stitch marker in the front loop of the last single crochet you made on this row. So let's do that in the front loop of the last single crochet. So let's find that front loop. It's going to be a little weird, but there it is. It's going to be that loop right there. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Row 2. I just want to clarify that if you ever hear me mentioning a hidden turn, you can just chain 1 and turn as usual. You do not have to do your turns the same way that I do mine. So you will get the same effect by just chaining 1 and turning, or doing the hidden turn the way that I'm demonstrating it. Chain 1. Insert your hook from back to front under the stitch you just completed, and then turn your work. All right, so single crochet 3, 1, 2, 3, make an increase in the next stitch, so that's 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, and then single crochet 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, which will give us a total of 9 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm going to do the first couple with you, and then I will speed it up. So this is row 3. Okay, I am on row 10 now, and you will know that you are on the correct row because the side with the stitch marker should be facing away from you. So I'm finishing up row 10. And boom. All right, So that was rows 3 through 10. Now we're going to begin the first back leg. We'll have back leg, tail, other leg, okay? Chain 7. So the back legs are a little longer than the front legs, so we will chain one more chain than we did for the front legs. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Single crochet in the second chain from the hook and back down the leg, which will give us 6 single crochets. 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to do that thing again where we flip our work up so we can continue down the bottom. Again, no sewing, right? So it might be a little confusing to have to flip stuff around, but we don't have to make 4 little things and a tail and sew it all on there. So yeah, you will once again flip it up, and now you will be working on the same side as the stitch marker. All right, single crochet. So we'll skip this stitch right here and single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And what that does is it gets your little legs more flush against the body. Okay, and now we're going to begin the tail. So we'll single crochet in the next stitch and we will chain 10. Now you can make your tail longer or shorter if you want. I just picked 10 because I like that number. All right, now we single crochet in the second chain from the hook back towards the body, which will give us 9 total single crochets for the tail. Now this is my first video and pattern, so any friendly feedback is appreciated. But if you want to leave me your mean feedback too, I guess I'll see it, but it won't make me feel very good. If you can keep your criticism constructive, that'd be great. Okay, hold on. Oof. All right, so that's 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, perfect. Now we are going to slip stitch in the next stitch on the body. So here's the stitch that the single crochet you made when you started your chain. We're going to just slip stitch into the stitch following that. Because again, we're just keeping things nice and flush that way. Single crochet in the next 2 stitches. Okay, that's where we're at. And then we're going to begin the back leg number 2. So we'll single crochet in the next stitch. And again, this is going to be the stitch that you'll be single crocheting into the side of when you come back down. So you can mark this stitch if you want. I'm not going to. I actually really, chaining 7. As helpful as stitch markers are, I hate using them. I'm so lazy. I just hate having to clip them in and take them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, now we're going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook, back down to make our second leg. Four, 5, 6. Okay, now we are going to single crochet in the side of this stitch. And then we are going to slip stitch in this little corner, the last stitch of the body. So we'll slip stitch right there. Boom. Okay. Now your little tail and legs might be a little wrinkly and wonky right now. Don't worry about it. He's just having a good time. We'll straighten him out later. All right. We are going to now single crochet up the side of the body towards this stitch marker. All right. So depending on what kind of yarn you're using, again, it'll be more visible. But for me, sometimes I end up with 8 single crochets until I get to where I want to slip stitch into it. Sometimes it's 9. So 8 or 9, just make it look good. All right. Don't worry too much about it. Don't stress about the details too much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And yeah, I'm going to stop at 8. just because I want this part of my little guy, which will be folded forward, to be a little bit more snug. So I'm gonna stop at 8, even though there's a little gap there. I'm gonna grab this loop with the stitch marker in it, like so, and I am going to slip stitch into it. So yeah, we're gonna slip stitch like so. I'm gonna pull out the stitch marker. See what I mean? It's so annoying. Oof, get out of there. All right, thank you for your service. Chain 1 and single crochet in the same loop, and then single crochet across the remaining loops. So, like so. And it might be helpful for you to take that front panel and just turn it away from you, fold it down against the body so that you can get into those. This is where we single crocheted in the back loop earlier only, and it gives you these loops to work with later. And this last one might be a little bit tricky to see, but that should give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 single crochets. Okay, so the front leg should now be folded away from you. Chain 1, turn, place a stitch marker in the front loop of the first row you just completed. So that's gonna be this stitch right here and the front loop. So there's the back loop, there's the front. I know this is kind of hard to see. Back loop here, front loop. So our stitch marker is gonna go right there. So let me just do that real quick. Okay, I'm gonna put my hook back in here. All right, now we're going to make our little cat's head, because as you can see right now, it's a little freaky. He doesn't have a head yet. I don't want to leave him like that. All right, so in the back loop only, so we're gonna be working into these loops only, increase in the first stitch, which is the stitch with the marker in it. So we're gonna make 2 single crochets, 1, 2. All right, single crochet in the next 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Sorry about the squeaks on the yarn. That's just because my hands are starting to get a little sweaty. 4, 5, 6, and then we're going to increase in the last. And what we're doing now is we're just making his head a little bit rounder. We want it to be a little bigger than the rest of his body. So we're increasing on the end so that we can kind of go boop out. So let's see, that was row 1. So for row 2, chain 1, insert your hook from back to front, and increase in the first stitch. So again, we're making his head a little bit bigger. And then we're single crocheting in the next all the stitches across, which are 8 now. 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, got caught on something there. 7, 8. And then this last stitch is a little bit snug, a little hard to see, but we do want to make an increase into there. 1, 2. So that will give us a total now of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 stitches. We've increased his little head to 12. So row 3. All right, that's rows 3 through 5. Now row 6, we're going to begin with the hidden turn, and then just make a single crochet as normal in the first stitch, and then we're going to decrease in the next stitch. So we don't need to do the hidden, or what's it called? We're just going to make a normal old decrease here. There's like an invisible decrease that a lot of people like to use for amigurumi, but because this is a flat piece, I don't really think it's necessary. So once again, if you don't know how to decrease, I'll show you that again. You're just going to bring up a loop through 2 stitches. You'll have 3 loops on your hook, and boom, that's your decrease. Single crochet in the next 6 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make another decrease. So these 2 stitches here, drop a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3, and then a single crochet in the last stitch. That was row 6. Row 7, hidden turn, single crochet in the first stitch, decrease in the next stitch, so that stitches technically, and then single crochet in the next 4 stitches. Got a little snag there in the yarn that I missed. Gonna have to just live with it for the sake of this tutorial because I'm not starting over. Decrease again, so these 2 stitches will be joined. Drop a loop, and then a single crochet in the very last stitch, which is a little tricky to see, but it is there. So that got us down to back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches, okay? All right, so this next row we're going to be beginning the ears. So we'll start with our hidden turn, chain 1, back to front, make a normal single crochet, and then chain 3, and then single crochet in the next stitch, which is ear number 1. Single crochet in the next 4 stitches, and then single crochet in the next stitch, chain 3, and then single crochet in the last stitch. Get in there. All right, now I'm going to slip stitch into the side of his head. I'm just gonna pick this hole. It's the most obvious one to go into. So slip stitching in there. Okay, actually what I am going to do before I fasten off is, and I don't think I'll put this in the written pattern, but I do chain one more time just to keep things from unraveling. If you just give it one extra chain, it creates a little knot so that you can't pull the yarn and unravel your work. So this is technically now the back of the cat, and this is the front. Leave your stitch marker in there. But what I am going to do also, just because again, we're not weaving these in, I don't want to worry about that. I wanted to write a pattern where we'd have to do as little of that as possible. But what I am going to do to get it out of the way is I like to grab these and pull them all into one spot. So I'm going to just grab this tail here, or end, if you will. And I'm going to also grab this end, and I'm going to kind of like center them back here, sort of. So you can kind of see there. And when I'm making a bunch of these, what I'll do to really just make sure, because again, we're going to be making another panel to attach. So all of this is going to be covered up. So if you really want to be reckless and crazy, just make a little double knot there. You don't have to do it, but I like to do it just to keep as much extra junk out of the way as I can. And this is the completed body. I mean, look at this. We didn't have to sew any of this stuff on. And I know it's a lot of turning and twists and turns and stuff, but once you make a couple of them, it'll start to make sense. So now we're gonna just make the back panel of the head to attach to the front. So moving on, chain 9, single crochet in the second chain from the hook, and then single crochet across, which will give us 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, I didn't intend to do that. Single crochet in the second chain from the hook, and then all the way across. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, row 2, increase. So hidden turn, increase in that first stitch. So we'll put 2 single crochets here, and then we'll single crochet across to the last stitch and increase in that stitch too, which will bring our stitch count up to 10 single crochets. I've been making a bunch of these, and I've been coating them with Mod Podge. If you check out my Instagram page, Violet_Leah_crochets, or my TikTok, sorry, I'm going to increase here, which I can't remember what my TikTok is off the top of my head, but I'll throw it on there. But there's a little video of how I paint these with Mod Podge and make them, stiffen them up, and they're really cute Christmas ornaments or whatnot. Okay, that was row 2. So row 3, turn first. Put the hook under that first stitch. Now we increase right away. And then we single crochet across. And then when we get to the last stitch, we increase again. And that should bring us up to 12 stitches. But yeah, these are not only great as bookmarks, they are super cute as ornaments. I've seen people hang them, just put them in their pockets. Here's the last stitch. I hang them from picture frames, etc. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I do plan on making an edition with dogs too, but with dogs there's so much more variation, so that's going to take me some time, unless somebody else beats me to it. Okay, row 4 through 6, we're making the hidden turn and single crocheting across. And just keeping it at 12 stitches. But yeah, I've been newly starting to try to keep up with the Instagram and the TikTok and making content that it's actually interesting, but it's hard. It's a lot of work. And I'm also a full-time musician, so finding the time to do all of that. That's row 4, row 5. I mean, I do crochet all the time. I crochet on the road, I crochet in the green room, so I don't have a hard time finding time to crochet. It's just the filming it and editing it, and you know, I don't have somebody else to do that. Not many people do. And if you do have somebody doing that for you, that's awesome, and I'm so happy for you. No sarcasm in there at all. No, I truly am. I'm just a little envious. All right, that was row 5. Let's do row 6 now. This will be our last row of 12 single crochets before we start our decrease. All right. Now we're going to start decreasing. Row 7. Hidden turn, and then we will single crochet in the first stitch, decrease in the next, so we stitch 2 together, and then single crochet in the next 6 stitches, 3, 4, 5, 6, decrease in these 2, and then single crochet at the end, and that should give you 10 stitches now. And we're gonna do that one more time to bring it down to 8 stitches. So hidden turn, single crochet in the first stitch, decrease in the next stitch, single crochet in the next 4 stitches, decrease, bringing these 2 stitches together, and single crochet in the last very tight stitch. Okay, we're ready to make the ears again. So we will make a hidden turn, single crochet, chain 3, single crochet in the next stitch, single crochet in the next 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, single crochet in the next stitch, chain 3, single crochet, single crochet in the last very tight stitch. Once again, I'm going to slip stitch in the side of the head, and then chain 1, cut the yarn. I'm not leaving a super long tail, but I am going to gather, this is going to be the inside of the head that's going to be sewn. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull this yarn. Again, this is, you do not have to do this. This is just a weird little extra step I like to do to kind of keep my yarn out of the way. It's just a weird, maybe it's OCD, I don't know. I'm always down to do extra work to save myself extra work up front to have to do less work later. Look at that, I even almost messed up. Ugh, I split that yarn all up, ew. That's okay, I mean, it's gonna be hidden, but yuck. And I'm gonna go ahead and tie these. It just helps for me when I'm attaching the panels together to not have all this stuff in the way. But you do not have to do it. You can just stuff it in between them as we go, as you'll see later. So this is what I've got. And like I said, I will be attaching it like that. We will be attaching it like that. Okay, but first we are going to go ahead and add the eyes and the little nose, some whiskers, and if you thought that things were already kind of crazy and reckless, buckle your seatbelt. Oh, sorry, I gotta adjust these. This chair isn't the most comfortable. Okay, so I'm grabbing my safety eyes now, and I do have a lighter. If you've worked with safety eyes before, you know that they have these little plastic pieces that go on the back that are completely useless, that fall off, that are really hard to get on, that really suck trying to get off if you make a mistake. And I think I might have read this somewhere, or I don't know, but I like to melt my safety eyes onto my projects. And if you have not seen this before, you're probably going to think I'm crazy. You don't have to do it. And, but I'm going to show you how I do it. And so first I'm going to pick where I want my eyes to go. Usually I place my eyes closer to the center of the cat because it gives it more of a cute, like Hello Kitty kind of look. But you can place them, you know, wherever you want. Play around with it. But I usually put mine about right here, kind of closer to the center bottom. So I'm going to go like 3 stitches from the end in the middle bottom. And stick one eye there, because you do want to give yourself some room on the end to be able to add your whiskers. So I'm going to place them about like, I think this eye can come over one more, maybe. Maybe? No. We're going to go with that first, the first instinct. Okay, so yeah, I'm happy with them right about there. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move this out of the way for just a second. I'm gonna take a lighter. Again, this is you might turn off this tutorial and never look me up again and think I'm nuts, because this is definitely probably not a smart idea to share, but this is how I do it, and it's my tutorial, so whatever, I'm gonna do it. So I'm gonna show you what I do. I take a lighter, and actually I'm gonna grab a nickel here, and I just be very careful, obviously, but I'm just gonna light the tip of each of these for a few seconds until it starts to burn, and then I just squish it down with a metal object. So I'm just gonna do it. So you can see it kind of starting to melt there. I know, this is crazy. I mean, nobody probably would have ever guessed how dangerous and how like on the edge crocheters can be, how extreme we are. Look at that. I just love this because it locks it in, it's not going to go anywhere, and it's pretty flat, whereas those round whatever those are that go on the back can like stick out, and especially for these little bookmarks, I want to keep their heads pretty flat, right? Because it's supposed to be a bookmark. So we're going to do the other one now. And again, you do not have to do it this way. This is just my preferred method. I wish I could get a better view of how it just kind of shrinks down and starts to melt. Oh no, I didn't have my, okay. My nickel wasn't ready. Just hold down for a few seconds. It cools off pretty quickly. Yeah, so please just be very careful with that if you want to do it that way. I am not responsible for any possible accidents. I've been doing it this way for years. I don't know. I was a little hesitant about sharing that tip, but we'll see what happens. I might get canceled. I don't know. Can't cancel somebody that doesn't have any followers. Anyway. Okay. So that part's done. Now we're going to go ahead and do the sewing of the little eyeballs and stuff. So I'm going to take about, maybe 12 inches of the black yarn and my tapestry needle. And I'm going to start with the right whisker. Now, you do not have to do yours identical to mine. There are so many cute different ways. Check out I did put a few pictures in my written pattern, but have fun with it, experiment. If you don't like the placement of something, just take it out and try it again. Not every cat has to be identical. Not every cat has to be perfectly symmetrical. And so I'm trying to get in. I do try to make sure that I insert my needle into a spot that's not breaking your stitch up, if that makes sense. So find a hole that you can easily retrace your steps if you need to, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to leave that side like that for now. And then I'm going to bring my yarn up through this hole and back through this hole for his nose. Let's see, is that even 1, 2, 3? Yeah, okay. I'm going to do it one more time just to give him a little bit of a thicker little nose. Some of the yarn kind of frayed through there, that's okay. All right, and then I'm going to come back around here, his other side of his face. Okay. And this is kind of where, if you want to customize your bookmark and make it look like, a friend's cat or whatever, this is where you would do that. You would make distinct markings. You can make a little mouth if you want to. I'm going to choose not to, just because I find that the less detailed, well, the less work I have to do, but also it just gives it more, again, more of a cute, subdued little anime style look, which was my inspiration for the design of these little dudes in the first place. But again, it's completely up to you. Get as detailed as you want. I'm pretty happy with that though. And what I'm gonna do now is cut off this excess thread because I don't need it anymore. Just enough to be able to tie it to the rest of these scraps back here that are going to be covered up. Now, once you get really used to these, I can make one of these little dudes in like 20 minutes. I'm not even kidding. It does get faster. This is just taking this long because I've been talking so much. Okay, so yeah, now that we've got that done, we're going to line up the front and the back like so. Let me get to where I'm at in the assembly part of the written pattern. Okay, so we line up the front and back, and then we're gonna flip it over. And we are going to begin our assembly right here. So facing the kitty, you can kind of see where it lines up here. So we're going to begin that assembly right here in this corner. So make sure to insert your hook through both panels right there. And I'm going to grab my black yarn now. Doesn't have to be black. I just picked black for my Halloween colors, because I love Halloween. Did I mention that I love Halloween? Okay. So we're going to begin to make single crochets down the side, being careful not to include this little front panel here. We're just going to be coming down and around the bottom from here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up this yarn, and I'm going to pull up the tail first and pull it through here. And I'm just going to take that tail and tuck it between the two panels for now, because it doesn't need to be, it's not invited to this party. Now, I'm going to grab that working yarn again, pull it up, and just make a single crochet to begin with. And I'm going to go right into this next part of the body and down the side. And we're going to go all the way down until we get to the cat's toe, I guess, if you will. Now, the stitch count here varies depending on, I guess, depending on what kind of mood I'm in. I don't know. I always get between, what do I say in the written pattern? 18, yeah, 18. Sometimes I get 19, sometimes I get 17. I don't know. Just depends on how meticulous I am about where I put my stitches. I think, though, most often the count is 18 from where I join it to the tip, which is this very last stitch right here. Okay, now just out of curiosity, I'm going to see how many that is today. So this is just the tail I took out of the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So I have 18 stitches from here. Now, I'm going to make 3 more single crochets in that same stitch. It's probably a little excessive, but I've been doing it this way since I wrote the pattern. So I'm just gonna, for the sake of consistency, keep it that way. Now I'm gonna single crochet back down the inner part of the leg. So 6 single crochets into these little ridges. They're not stitches because they're like the back side of the chain. 1, 2. These can be a little harder to see. So hopefully this is helpful. 4, 5, 6. Now once again, we are going, oh, let's do like 6. Okay. Now we are not going to, I'm caught up in here. We're not going to single crochet into this next stitch. We're going to skip it. And we're going to single crochet in this stitch, which is in the middle of the first leg and the tail here. So skip the stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. And then skip the next stitch here. And basically we want to just go ahead and single crochet right into the first part of the side of the tail. And again, we skip stitches sometimes in this pattern because it just keeps the legs and tail straight down like that instead of splayed out. We don't want to have too many stitches in between, pushing them apart. So I've already made the first stitch in the side of the tail. I'm going to keep going until I get to the tip. It should be 9 single crochets. Do not stress if you have more than 9. This part is not super important. If you're off by a stitch or two, if you added one, it's really not the end of the world. And as you make more of these, you will get a more consistent count. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now we're going to make 3 more stitches into the tip of the tail, and then come back down the back side for 9 stitches. 1. And I say back side, I just mean the back of this chain that was the original chain for the tail. 2, 3, 4. Stay in the camera, Violet. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I do work with a pretty tight tension most of the time, so if it looks like I'm struggling, it's also just because I picked an extra big yarn for the size of my hook. But again, I just like the really tight looking stitches. Okay, now we are once again going to skip the next one, single crochet on the body, and just make one in the center of the tail and other leg. And then we are going to skip the stitch after that and start single crocheting up the side of the other leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And that puts us at the tip of the other leg. So we're going to make 3 more. 1, 2, 3, and then come down the other side of the leg. So because you just made 3 stitches here, every time your first stitch is going to be a little bit hard to find, but it's right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I'm gonna just take a second to look at what we've got going on. So we've got our head panels, which are still not quite attached, but this is why we skip some stitches in the middle, is just so that we can keep these guys kind of straight. If we add a bunch of single crochets in between here, it's gonna keep this from being straight up and down. So now we're gonna make our way back up the side, and once again avoid the front panel for now, and we're gonna come up and we're gonna go around the head to attach these 2 panels. Okay, once again we have kind of a different stitch count depending on how much. It's usually off by 1 or 2, and let's find out. Okay, so again, be careful not to single crochet into this. We're going to try to keep it out of the way. I'm going to make one more right here. It's just a lot going on here. And then I'm going to make one more single crochet. Make sure you grab your back panel again and have it lined up just like you did the first time. This corner and this corner. I'm really regretting writing this stitch marker into this pattern. I mean, we will use it eventually, but I'm just wondering now if it was even worth the trouble. Okay, so as you can see, I'm through both of the panels now. Single crocheting. All right, so let's count what that is from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 single crochets. From there to the little cheek on the other side. Now this is where we're gonna kind of start making sure that our little tails are definitely just out of the way and in between the two panels. So I'm just gonna tuck everything in. And we are going to start single crocheting up to the ear, making sure that the panels stay lined up. Keep your stitches here nice and loose, something that's hard for me to do. But if you make them too tight coming up the side, you're gonna pinch your cat's head and it's gonna look very weird. So yeah, just try to keep them nice and loose. And when we get up to the first ear, we'll count. But I think usually I get around 7 or 8 single crochets for this step. So this part can be pretty tedious. So you see how I'm kind of like keeping it nice and loose. There's 1, 2, 3, stay in the camera. 3, there we go. 4, 5, 1 more before we get to the actual center of the 2 ears. 6, and then I'm going to make 1 more right here in between the 2 ears. 7. Sorry, quick voiceover here. I just want to address the ears on this panel. I didn't realize until reviewing my video later on that I messed up on the single crochets. So I just want to make it clear that you're going to single crochet 2 single crochets, chain 3, 2 single crochets in each ear. So once again, that's 2 single crochets, chain 3, 2 single crochets in each ear. Okay. All right, so now in the center of both ear panels, we make 2 single crochets, chain 2, and then 3 single crochets. So because I already made 1 single crochet in here, that'll give me 3 on both sides. So 2 more single crochets, chain 2, and 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. All right, so the right ear is complete. All right, we are going to now make 3 single crochet, single crochet into both of the panels on the head. The stitches should be more clear here because they're actual stitches. So we're gonna go 1, stop pulling this towards you. 1, 2, 3, once again, this is what I get for picking a hook that's too small for the yarn I'm working with. We can't stop now. I've gotten this far. Got 2 more stitches to make. 4, 5. All right. And then in the center of both ear panels again, 2 single crochets. 1, 2, chain 3. And then 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. Now because I counted 7 single crochets ish, if you count the inner ear on this side, I'm going to aim for that 6 or 7 coming back down this side. Again, I know for some of you that might be a little more of a stickler about numbers. That's going to drive you crazy with my vague counts, but sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Now, all of our ends should be tucked in between our 2 panels. Isn't that nice? And I'm going to slip stitch into this very first stitch that started this whole border off, like so. All right, chain 1. Now we are going to single crochet around the front panel. And there is a bit of a gap here. Don't even worry about it. It's not that big of a deal. So we just bridge it with some single crochets. And when we get to the tip of the right front leg, just like we did with the back legs and the tail, we will make a total of 4 single crochets. So there's our first one, indicating that we got to the tip, and then 3 more. 1, 2, 3, and then single crochet back down the inside. Three, 4, 5. Okay, skip the next stitch on the body, single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So we're going to skip this stitch right here, single crochet in these 3 stitches right in the middle. 1, 2, 3. Skip this next stitch and start up the other leg. Got my tail trying to get all tangled up over here. All right, and now that we're at the very tip of the foot, we already made 1, we're going to make 3 more. 1, 2, 3, and then come back down the other leg. Oops. And then we will continue up 3 more single crochets until we slip stitch into this one, and for the love of God, we can finally remove that stitch marker. Like I said, I really have doubt as to whether or not I needed to even include it in this. I think I just wanted to look cool and be like, hey, look, my pattern requires you using a stitch marker more than 1 time. Because, ooh, it's so complex, wow. Slip stitch there. Get in there. All right, goodbye. Good riddance. See ya. All right, now we are on the final step. Hallelujah. We are going to single crochet across. So I've slip stitched. I'm going to chain 1, single crochet in the same loop, and across the remaining loops under his, I guess this is like his little chin, or her. I don't know, I've been saying his the whole time. I guess just because he's orange, and most orange cats I've ever had have been boys. And adorable and sweet and so dumb. I'm not trying to stereotype all of them, just every single one I've ever owned. Okay, now I'm going to chain one more time just because I'm fixing to cut this off, and this time I do want to leave a little bit of a tail, maybe like 8 or 9 inches. All right, here's where we are at. Grab the embroidery needle one last time. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. Okay. So what we have now is on the back, we have this little pouch right here, and we're just gonna sew it shut. But in doing so, I wanna make sure that our black color, when we sew it, is only poking out of the black color on the front. So that's what I'm gonna do. So when I come around back here, the very first stitch of the back of the head here, when my needle comes out of the other side, I make sure that it comes out of the black yarn so that we can keep it nice, the embellishments nice and visible and neat. So I'm going to go in through the next black stitch here and make sure it's also coming out of the next stitch on the back of the head. If you don't mind having a little pouch there, then go for it. Keep it. Put stuff in it even. I don't know. Put a magnet in there. Stick a pin in it. This is just how I like to finish it off for my own personal preference. I actually did try that. I put a magnet in a couple of them. Has to be a pretty strong one. And again, I mentioned before, I have Mod Podged mine. You just take some parchment paper and a brush and Mod Podge, and which is a glue, and some water, and you brush the bottoms and brush the tips of their little ears. Leave it out overnight, and you'll have a nice stiff bookmark to gift. You don't have to do that either. You can keep them as they are, but the Mod Podge just makes everything lay nice and flat. And again, I have videos on my Instagram and my TikTok if you want to see how I do that. But yeah, so for the final step, I'm going to take this and stick it through the black and through the back of the head. And I mentioned again and again that I don't like having to spend a whole lot of time worrying about weaving in ends. So I make sure that it's through the back, and then I have it come, I go back down into the this hole I just made. I'm going to come out of the top somewhere, making sure that it's going in between the yarn, the stitches, pull it up, and I'm just going to cut it off right there. You can do it a few more times if you want it to be a little more secure, but that is where I'm leaving that. And it's finished. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial and it didn't get too out of hand for you. And please like and follow and subscribe and all that stuff. I think I have like 7 followers right now, but that's okay. That's not why I do this. I hope you enjoyed it. Please send me photos of your finished Marley bookmark, and send me any creative modifications you made on it when you're doing your border. You can also like make some of your stitches longer than other ones to give the appearance of more stripes, you know, like sometimes for these I'll bring some of his or her stripes in. You can do polka dots. You can change colors as you go if you know how to do that. Really, there's no limit to how you can modify this, but please just let me see. I want to absorb all of the ideas. So thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.